The Last of Us, Season 2, Episode 1. We are here to discuss, to ramble with you all. I hope y'all all enjoyed the show if you have watched it. I watched the first episode, and Loon, I don't, you didn't, did you watch Season 1 of Tilu? No interest really? You played the games, you're like, I'm good.
I wouldn't say no interest. It's something that I'll probably dip into at some point, but I don't know. I I'm in no rush to experience it. It's not that I hate it.
Yeah,
It's just the plot points. I'm sure are fairly interchangeable and very similar, maybe partially
totally.
differently executed, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely they're following the structure of the story very not beat by beat, but very close to it. It's not like they're not doing the Mila Jokovic Resident Evil movies or anything like that. So I mean, and I am a firm believer that I don't want to even say this because I'm going to sound like the exact type of person that I hate the most. But, the people that say, well, reading the book is the best way to experience this. It's like, I do think playing the game is the best way to experience the story, but this is another exceptional way to experience the story. The story is so good here. And so let's talk about episode 1 of season 2. Watched it last night. Um, it's a slower start episode 1 of season 2. Season 1 was just like kind of consistently excellent to like a crazy degree. Season 2 starts off quite a bit slower. And I don't think there's anything in episode 1 that is going to just hook you in and be like, "Oh my God, I cannot wait for episode 2." There's nothing really like that unless you've played the games. And like once again, that's already two times in the span of 3 minutes doing the gatekeeper bullshit. But like if you play the games, you know that episode 2 is about to be wild. It's about to be absolutely wild. And so for the people who've played the game, they're hooked in.
Yep.
And I do think the people who watched the first season are hooked in, but not because of what was presented in episode 1 of season 2. It's just because of how good season 1 was, how good the acting performances from Pedro Pascal, from Bella Ramsey, how strong those were in season 1 that you're invested even if the first episode of the next season was just a building block episode. And it was just a building block episode. It was an episode all about establishing, okay, here is, I believe the town is called Jackson. Here is this town. Here is how it's structured. Here is how the kind of inner political dynamics are working. You actually see the town starting to, I wouldn't say prosper, but prosper in the if anything can prosper in a post-apocalyptic environment, I guess the town of Jackson would be the closest definition to prosperous. Like there's a therapist in the town where you could actually go and see a therapist. It was like, I don't know if there are people, I guess, yeah, trauma in a post-apocalyptic environment. Maybe you would need a therapist. Maybe that would be the first like essential job on the market is you've seen half of everybody you love decimated. So yeah, probably need someone to talk to about that. So okay, cool. And then, you'll have um like they had their first run in with the stalker, the zombie, the stalker type of infected. And they have kind of like this council meeting of like how do we deal with this stalker style of threat? And I think that's interesting. Like they're being presented in this sort of town hall structure to the meeting where Bella Ramsey and oh man, I forgot her. It's forget the Isabel Merced is the lady who plays Dina, and they're kind of presenting what they saw with this stalker encounter to the council, and they're all debating on how to tackle this new threat. So it's like, okay, cool. There's the inner political workings of how everything's operating. And so they're doing a good job of building character arcs that obviously aren't going to pay off in the first episode, building some sort of idea for how the town is stabilized. And they're doing a good job of building all this up, but there's no point of episode 1 that is like, oh my God, unless
Mm-hmm.
here I go again. You played the game. There is the end of episode one. If you've played the game, you're like, oh boy, oh boy,
Yep,
I
it's closing in. Stuff's
it's a
stuff's about to go down.
yeah,
Um, right. So I think because obviously I've not seen it, it's all just passing hearsay of stuff that you've obviously watched, people in the Discord have watched and stuff. A big worry of mine was that when they went and tackled through season two, which would be part two of the game, right? Is how they've lined that up.
yeah.
Part two of the game is a lot longer than the first part of the game, quote unquote. So trying to compress that into one season, I don't think they're going to be able to do that.
They're
Surely this
not.
is going to have to be like multiple seasons on that second part of the game, and then that kind of leaves you with where would be the drawing line when you think of like the game. Where would you cut that in half to be like, okay, that's part one of season two, part two of season two, if that makes sense.
You you want me to spoil? I because we can put up spoiler walls, and I'll tell you what I think they should do.
Um, I mean, you can keep it vague. Like the game roughly runs for like 20 hours, right?
Yeah, okay. So I'll okay, yeah, I can do it without spoiling. What they should do in my opinion is season 1 be all Ellie, season 2 be all Abby.
Okay.
Because what they actually do in the first episode here is they which man, oh man, oh man, I have so many thoughts. Like I could talk about this first episode for an hour, which we're not going to, but um so they actually open the show with Abby and she's mourning. Obviously we're going to have spoilers for season 1, like of course. um so if you haven't watched season 1 and you want to without any spoilers, you've
Hey,
never
what are you
played the
doing
game, go
watching
ahead
a
and
review of season two? Get out of here.
yeah. We appreciate the support. Leave a like and then come back after you watched it. So they kick off the show with Abby mourning the death of her father after Joel goes in straight up fucking savage mode, slaughters everybody. And it's like the remaining little Firefly bunch. And they're mourning the death of her father and a lot of the other people that Joel slaughtered. And so you immediately set up this sympathetic arc for Abby. Okay. And that's interesting. I don't, it's not as ballsy as what the game did. And I don't know if it needs to be because just on presentation alone for what they're doing, like Abby looks like Ellie. Caitlin Denver, I believe is her name. Caitlin Dever, the lady who plays Abby. She looks like season two or part two of Ellie in the game. So she looks much smaller, much less intimidating than the game version of Abby. And so I see a lot of people complaining about Bella Ramsey portraying Ellie, but I think the juxtaposition there is important to understand. Like, also, Abby doesn't look as intimidating as Abby. You get what I'm saying? The TV version of Abby doesn't look as intimidating as the game version.
Yeah.
So you kind of need someone like Bella Ramsey to play the TV version of Ellie to make Abby look more intimidating. You kind of get what I'm saying. It's like the trick that they use for Mark Wahlberg's an itty bitty guy. You know, like Sylvester Stallone's 5'10". Sylvester Stallone is Rocky, dude. Sylvester Stallone, when you see him, he looks humongous. Like there is a lot of that Hollywood magic and putting people, putting at Tom Cruise. They do a lot
Hmm.
for Tom Cruise to not look small, and so I'm not told. I understand people being like, "Yo, Bella Ramsey does not look like she doesn't look grizzled and gritty enough to play part two version of Ellie." And I get it, but neither does Abby.
Yeah, I
Not
think to
yeah.
be fair, that's kind of just. I get what you're saying. There's not like it would be different if Abby was like some hulking behemoth in the TV show, then it would be even more stupid. I think the casting was definitely a choice. That's also a contributing factor why I'm like in no rush to dive in. because I wouldn't say I'd give it like an unfair like rap. I'd obviously give it its fair chance and stuff like that. But even just what looking like being having no connection to that first season and then seeing the promotional poster for Bella Ramsey in season two, and it's just like you don't strike intimidation in that poster, like or any form of like there is no matching emotion because they tried to mimic the game promotional thing, and it's like
Yep.
you're not capturing that same essence. So that's my only big like wonder. Like, does she actually is she at least picking it up in the other areas? She's not present. She because I find unless she really does an amazing job at portraying herself as being intimidating in the moment, but I've highly doubt that because she didn't really do that like in any of the other things I've seen her in. Like,
I, yeah, I think that so it's the really, really tough task of staying true to the source material as much as possible, but also understanding the you can't present her as this, she is hardened. She survived so much trauma. She is definitely grittier than the average, woman her age, of course, but it doesn't present as such appearance wise. And so I think their task is going to be difficult in terms of making her somewhat badass, but also somewhat very, very um, fragile in certain instances because they're gonna have to do that, and they had to do it with part two of Ellie as well in the game. You know what I mean? So it's not like, and I do think that's why it's important to also look at Abby before just solely focusing on Ellie. You also have to look at Abby because Abby is also not all that intimidating. So I don't know if I,
is
they're
that
not going to be able to.
is that impacting your immersion though? That's the big thing of like, because what I'm sitting there thinking, like I watched The Walking Dead for several seasons, right? And in the very beginning, you have Rick go through what he goes through, and he's fairly clean, like he's not grizzled. But you go for like even 2 seasons deep, and he is defeated. He looks aged, he looks grizzled, he looks rugged, and everybody looks like that. And that's the thing of like, and that's portraying The Walking Dead in just a few years. This is meant to be a massive time jump from part one to part two, right? It's several years, like a
Yeah,
good
it's a
at
few
least
years.
5 years, is it not? Like a good gap.
I think it might. She was what 12 in the first game, and then I think she's like 17, 18 in the yeah. So it's something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
So
know exact year count.
that's the big thing of like, I think they probably should have recast because this is the thing. Like, you need to build immersion in story. Um, if she doesn't look like she's been in a post-apocalyptic struggling to survive for that many years,
I do think she looks like that.
she does
I
though.
I I,
Okay,
I
okay.
here's the thing. I think she looks like somebody who she looks like a character that is struggling to get through it. Where like she doesn't to me come across as somebody who and that's once again going to be a the director and the writer's job to figure out how to lay out this plot line because if she is presented as just and that wasn't there's one moment where she's definitely more capable in episode 1 of season 2 where she's like okay she actually but she's taking care of whenever like the stalkers are introduced she starts freaking out and she's just shooting her gun all wild like she's not hitting the target and she's missing and like so there is that air of fragility or that air of not being this just total badass. And so it's important that they continue to frame her that way. And then when they introduce Abby to frame Abby, because they can't present Abby as this, hulking fucking, she's not going to be able to just, like in the game, you can go hand to hand with most enemies with Abby and just straight up, like, combo fucking Roy Jones Jr. them bitches to sleep. You can't present Caitlin Dever as such because she looks like part two Ellie in the game. She's kind of, slimmer built, normal looking woman. So in comparison to a normal looking woman, Bella Ramsey kind of fits as Ellie. And so it's just going to be interesting to see how they frame it. If I will give you this, if they try to do this thing where Bella Ramsey is like just decimating like just this total absolute badass, yeah, that's going to be a tough sell. I totally agree on that, but they haven't presented her as such yet. So I'm willing to give them some time to see how that rolls out.
Okay. I can at least empathize with some people though, of like because that seems like a massive lurch in change compared to the games. If you're a massive fan of the games and then you're being told that okay, that's Ellie, because you like in the beginning of The Last of Us 2, she's fully capable. They presented that in the first game when she had to do what she did for Joel, looking over that and like maturing during that segment. I wouldn't really foresee her freaking out the way that you said that she freaked out in episode one. That seems a bit strange to me to hear that. Um, and yeah, that the only worry is that, like you said, them casting both of them smaller. The whole point of Abby being the massive hulking brute is she's meant to be a threat. So if you need to be very very careful with how you write Abby if they're of similar stature and similar frame and both fragile in ways because that can kind of impact like oh well that doesn't make like it's like I said it's the lurchingness of it. It's the like how some people struggle to get into the Witcher TV show and stuff because of the changes that they made with like Yennefer and stuff like that. There's always going to be that teething process, but you need if you can write a compelling enough story that can kind of hide up the cracks of that and people can
Well,
accept it for what it is.
yeah, and it would be the thing too where you would immediately be more empathetic to both characters, which I think is something that might have been missing in the game because they do look like more just normal people who are going to struggle their asses off. And to Ellie, Caitlin Dever, or to Bella Ramsey, Caitlin Dever is intimidating because she is going to be bigger and stronger. But that's the thing, once again, Lynn, like you're saying, you can't just have Caitlin Dever just go in 1-2 combo and knocking people out that are 6'4", 250 pounds. Like that's going to look ridiculous. So it's going to be all about how they present it. But I'm open to it. It's a different direction. And I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see if they're able to pull it off with two not so intimidating looking main characters. But yeah, I thought, listen, I don't think that that first episode is going to, like, if, say, for some weird example, you didn't watch season one, you've never played the games, and you just were with your girlfriend who liked the show, boyfriend who liked the show, you were sitting there watching it, and they were like, hey, well, you don't really have to watch season one. Just come in, see if you like it. I don't think anybody who watches this as their first entry into The Last of Us is like just glued to the edge of their seat waiting for episode two. I don't think that's going to be the case at all. I do think if you watch season one, you're locked in. You know what I mean? You know that these characters are, or these actors are excellent fucking actors, but
Okay.
they face an uphill battle nonetheless. So for me, it's like this is, I'm gonna finish the season. I just want to see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think this could be one of those seasons where people start to drop off a little bit. I worry about that.
So it's like a closing question. We're obviously we're in a weird time period of Naughty Dog. There's not another Last of Us game announced. So they're getting through these seasons fairly quickly because TV is a lot quicker to produce than gaming now, strangely enough. So they're going to get to the end of this season, and if they have to squeeze out another season to fit all of part two story in, they're going to be then treading new ground. So is this going to mean then that say so that's 3 seasons worth to get both of them games done as an example. So the fourth season, treading new ground, is that going to influence that next release of games now? Do you think that that's
I
going to dictate where that takes Ellie and stuff?
That would bum me out bad.
Because
Like
this is that's my biggest worry. Is like I'm not even like a big fan of like The Last of Us, but you're getting to the point where because it's gonna probably be what's gonna happen to the Fallout show as well. That's what people haven't really taken into consideration is that they're probably gonna do stuff that they're gonna bring in to the next game. So if you're not happy with like the direction that they're doing, like and you're not happy with its flawless execution and how well that would translate into a game, like it's gonna impact it. So that would be a worry for me.
yeah, it's a big worry for me is that so if the success of the show is to that level, that would make me worry that they're going to continue The Last of Us entirely through television and not at
Oh,
all
oh,
through.
okay. And just dump
Yeah.
the game side of it.
Yeah, because like you said, game development is much, much, much more excruciating, much longer, much more complicated than getting a television show off the ground. And if it's a situation where like Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet isn't going to release until 2028, 2029. So if that's the case, then The Last of Us 3 won't release until mid 2030s.
Maybe even
By
later.
that point, yeah, if it ever comes out. But I mean, by that point, you're on season 7. You know what I mean? Like it's 2 years. We got right. Wasn't 2023 when we got season one
Yeah,
of
that's what I mean.
yeah,
Is like TV shows once they it's a really big ball ache getting them off the ground and putting everything together. But once you have that foundation and everybody's on that wavelength, because it's all about making sure them actors are committed. You need to align everybody's schedules together. You need to put all the props. Everybody just needs to be in that rotating wheel and stuff. But once that ball is rolling, like they can just keep pumping these out every 2 years, like clockwork.
absolutely. Yeah, and it's the thing where, dude, I I'll watch it, but that's not The Last of Us. And I know that sounds so gatekeepy or whatever, but like I want to see those. I want to see those characters in the game, man. I want to experience that. But, the show is really good
Mhm.
and it'll continue to be really good. Uh but yeah, I don't want it to ever replace the game. So, and that's kind of my overall take. But yeah, man. Season 2, episode 1. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Let us know what you think about the future of the show and all of that good stuff. This is Game and Ramble. We appreciate you for tuning in. And I don't know, I don't know if I'm going to review every single episode. I might kind of bundle some together, review episode 2 and 3, episode 4 and 5. I don't know. We'll see how it all pans out whenever we get in here and we're able to record. If this does incredibly well and you want to see reviews of every single episode, just let us know and we'll do whatever the hell you want us to do. So just let us know in the comments below.
Oh,
And
mighty algorithm.
absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind doing a review of every episode. It's a fucking great show. I don't mind watching it. So yeah, let us know in the comments down below what you thought of the show and if you want to see more of these reviews. So take it easy, guys. We'll see you very soon. Goodbye.
See you later.